All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Xochitl Rodriguez Murillo. I'm the Deputy Secretary to Minority and Underrepresented Veterans. I welcome you once again to the Pathway to Citizenship webinar. Please let me know, team, if you can hear me okay. I'm logged in with my phone. We had a few technical difficulties. So I want to thank you all for joining us today on this first Pathway to Citizenship workshop, where we assist veterans, service members and their families in obtaining their path to citizenship. And this is a program we've had at Calvet for several years in partnership with the Governor's Office and Department of Social Services, and with other partners that reach out to us and assist us with providing these workshops. So as you know, hundreds of thousands of immigrants have served in the U.S. Armed Forces since the founding of our country, fighting in every major conflict in American history. And naturalized veterans, active duty military, and their dependents may be eligible for naturalization under special provisions under the Immigration and Nationality Act. Certain veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces are eligible for expedited citizenship through their military service. And so today we have some information for veterans and their families. If you're here today joining as a friend of a service member or a veteran, we encourage you to please share this information with anyone out there. And for any folks requiring assistance, please know that this webinar is not your only avenue to reach out to us to receive assistance. We provide this assistance year long. Team, go ahead and go on to the next slide. All right. So we have some housekeeping items. Folks, you are currently muted. If you have any questions, you can send them through a Q&A, and our presenter will go ahead and unmute you during the Q&A panel. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and introduce our presenter. We'll go over her presentation, and then we'll save the Q&A feature for the end of the program. Very good, folks. Well, welcoming today, we have Nikhil Godfrey. She's an Equal Justice Works Fellow with the Veterans Consortium Pro Bono Program. Nikhil attended Georgetown University Law Center as a Public Interest Fellow, graduating with her Juris Doctor in May of 2020. In October 2020, she began working as an Equal Justice Works Fellow, serving non-citizen U.S. veterans applying for U.S. citizenship. Nikhil is passionate about this project as a granddaughter of both a Korean War veteran and an immigrant to the United States. Nikhil, thank you for your partnership. We're looking forward to your presentation. I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to my slide, so give me just 1 second here. All right, so welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Nikhil, and as was shared, I'm an Equal Justice Works Fellow with the Veterans Consortium. I'm very graciously sponsored by Northrop Grumman Corporation, as well as Covington and Burling. And today we're going to talk to you about the veteran naturalization process. So the 3 topics we're going to cover today are background on veteran naturalization to give you a better understanding of the history on it. Then we're going to talk about, excuse me, my program in particular, the Veterans Naturalization Assistance Program, or VNAP. And then finally, we're going to talk about how a veteran can apply for naturalization. So first, veteran naturalization background. Approximately 5,000 non-citizens enlist in the military each year. As of 2018, approximately 94,000 non-citizen veterans do not have their U.S. citizenship. Now, we believe this number is well over 100,000 now, given that this statistic is a few years old and about 5,000 non-citizens join each year. In 2019, the veterans that were applying for their citizenship were denied at a higher rate, at a 5% higher rate than their civilian counterparts. And in the last 9 months of 2020, the active service member applications to request their start to naturalization went from what used to be about 1,500 applications a year to only 10. This was a very massive decrease that we were not expecting. in fiscal year 2021, the good news is that USCIS did end up naturalizing 8,800 service members and veterans. This was a 90% increase on their previous year. So working with this statistic specifically, I wanted to share with you this chart that USCIS produced. As you can see here that this was fiscal year 2021 with the 90% increase. And for the years 2018, 2019, and 2020, there was quite a drastic reduction that we had seen even previously from 2017. This also is a map that USCIS has created, and I think it's just interesting to share that 10% of non-citizen veterans come from the Philippines. Then as our largest population of non-citizen veterans and active service members. Then the next population comes from Mexico, then Jamaica, followed by South Korea and China. I've been tracking this now for the last year, and what we've noticed is the largest growing population in this application process happens to be citizens of Jamaica, and we've just seen quite a large increase in the amount of people applying from that region. This as well is a graph that USCIS created, and this shows which branch of the military most people applying are applying through. So obviously the Army has quite a large portion of the population of non-citizen veterans applying, and then the Navy is the next largest at 15.2%, followed by the Air Force, then the Marines, pretty neck and neck there, and then a very small group from the Coast Guard. Okay, I'm going to pause on this slide for a minute because I think this is really interesting to understand the background of the immigration process. So bear with me as a second as I walk you through what this graph is telling us. As you can see, these are the total naturalizations, total filings, approvals, and denials since 1907 in the United States. So these are numbers that the government have released, and we graphed the numbers to get a better understanding of what was going on. So what you can see here is that the blue line represents how many people have submitted their application, and the gray line represents how many people have naturalized. From 1907 until, I mean, a little bit of a difference here in the 80s, but really until 1981, from 1907 to 1981, it's a pretty steady line. These are very closely connected, and obviously it's based on these numbers. Pretty much if you apply for your naturalization, you're approved for your naturalization. This got a little messy here in the 80s, as you can see, but again, for these last 100 years, it was relatively steady. This yellow line represents the military persons that are naturalized, and then the orange line shows you the denial rate. So again, what you can see with this yellow line is that the largest time of military naturalizations occurred here in 1919 when this was rolled out as a concept that you could naturalize based on your service in the military. Since 1919, we've had other spikes in the application process, including in the 1940s, right around World War II, here right around Korea. There's a small spike here around the Vietnam War. And then there is a small spike here. It's very small and hard to see, but around the Gulf War. And then again, 9/11 has a small increase as well. But really the largest group that of military members that came through were early in the program back in 1918. So this has been around for a long time. The reason I'm showing this to you is because I think a lot of people have this concept of immigration with, boats coming to this country through Ellis Island or through Angel Island, and this crazy increase of people coming to these shores and bracing for this influx of immigration. Well, Angel Island closed in 1940, and Ellis Island closed here in 1954. Again, because of war-related timings for that. But as you can see, those times of immigration for this country, they did not at all, that you can't compare them to what then occurred in the 1990s and really what we're looking at today with the immigration process. So from 1907 to 1991, there's a relatively steady, I'm going to say it's approximately 200,000 applications that are coming through for over almost 100 years. Then in 1991 to 1997, we see this spike of 1,200,000 applications. The government was not prepared. They were not ready to deal with this amount of applications that came through. In reaction to this, they put a lot of laws in place to try and help them get through as many applications as quickly as possible. This meant a lot more people were denied, as you can see here by this spike in the orange line for the first time. When these laws went into place, there were consequences on our veteran population because of their immigration status. I'm not sure if it went through too quickly and they didn't realize the trickle-down effect that it would have on this population, but this is where we started seeing the concept of deported veterans, because veterans were getting caught up in these laws that were put in place to try and do something to deal with this large increase of applications. And that's when we started, like I said, seeing these cases of veterans deported. As you can see, since 1981, we've never gone back down to that 200,000 level of applications that have been submitted. So we're still doing this yo-yo effect here of submissions and people naturalized, and still haven't increased in denials. So that is a bit of a background that I just really wanted to take a minute to explain, because like I said, I think it's helpful to have an understanding of what's been going on in the legal history or in the history of immigration in this country, and why we are where we are today, specifically with laws that have these impacts on veterans, and laws that have recently been issued to try and give veterans a chance to become U.S. citizens despite other laws that might be in place. Also, I should make a caveat that I say veterans a lot because my program, the Veterans Naturalization Assistance Program, only supports veterans. We generally do not take active service member cases, but what I'm telling you applies to both veterans and active service members. So I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay, again, this is a really interesting graph to me that we created. And what it's showing you here is if each year, based on the last one that I showed you, if each year only 100 naturalization applications were submitted, and I'm sorry, only 100 were approved, how many of those would be military applications? So again, you can see here this large percentage in 1918, 60% of all of the applications that were approved were because they were a veteran. Then again, we have the spike in 1945 or in 1940s, but it's specifically in 1945 that 20% of the population, looks like 54 had about 15%, about 12% here in 1970 and around the Vietnam era. And again, this spike during the Gulf War and after 9/11. And as you can see, there's a really quiet period here during what is still considered the Gulf War, but for purposes of USCIS, they designate it as a period of peacetime. And I'll explain the implications that that has had on our application process. Okay, so why does a veteran not have US citizen? Why do they not have their US citizenship? There's several reasons why this could have occurred. The first is that they thought they became a citizen when they swore into the military. There's a 3-word difference between the oath to join the military and the oath to become a United States citizen. So it was very common, and it is still unfortunately common, for recruiters to tell enlistees that, oh, well, when you join and you swear in, you automatically become a US citizen. So these people then raise their right hand, and even if they look up the oath, they're gonna and give it a skim. They might not realize the 3-word difference, or maybe they just think that they got a different version of it. It's not too far of a leap to think that you did become a citizen. Additionally, you're wearing an American flag on your shoulder. It would seem like that was correct. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but I certainly understand how that has happened. Another one is that their discharge from the military might be below an honorable or a general under honorable discharge. That's the statutory requirement to apply as a US veteran to become a US citizen. If you have below a general under honorable, then you can apply as a civilian, or you can apply to get your discharge upgrade. but you cannot apply as a veteran until the upgrade has come through. Another reason is that active service members it has happened frequently, they'll deploy before their naturalization interview. So they get all the way through the process, their paperwork is submitted, it all looks fine, they get scheduled for an interview, and then they get their orders to deploy. When they have their orders to deploy, then they sometimes misunderstand and think that it's just taken care of. They think that it could be postponed, but often what ends up happening is they miss their interview, so their application is denied. Another reason we're seeing is that veterans might have joined the military as either an undocumented civilian or on a student visa. Now, there are ways to become a United States citizen, even if you were undocumented, but if you served in the US military. The problem then is we've seen that it's less likely for individuals to put themselves out there to apply for their citizenship, knowing their documentation status. Additionally, the student visa, if you join the military on a student visa, that's considered an improper use of your visa because the student visa is only supposed to be used for education. When you join the military, then on the student visa, they allow you to finish your term of service, your commitment to the military. But once that time is up, you are then asked to voluntarily remove from this country. And if you won't, then you will get deported. Another reason why veterans don't have US citizenship is that they believe they could not afford the application. This is an unfortunate misunderstanding. The application is absolutely free for all members of the military, for veterans. It doesn't cost anything, but that's one reason why some people have been hesitant to apply. Finally, when you're an active service member, when you're trying to become a United States citizen, you need an 06 or higher to sign off on your immigration paperwork. This 06 or higher requirement is a new requirement that was put in by the last administration, and it has caused us problems for many of our many of our enlistees trying to get the attention of an 06 or higher. This can delay their process for many months and often is one of the biggest holdups. And so if you're about to leave and you don't need an 06 once you become a veteran, you only need your DD-214. It might be worth your while to wait to become a veteran before applying for your citizenship. So why are veterans deported? Some of the reasons we talked about earlier, but the one most unfortunate obvious reason is that they're not US citizens. Sometimes veterans will be deported because of they've committed an aggravated felony. This can include murder, assault, domestic violence, or DUI. The difficulty with this list, though, is that it's very commonly understood by the VA that the VA is not the first choice for many veterans, that they're going to be facing some mental health problems because of something they saw while they were deployed or serving. And they choose to first try to self-medicate before turning to the VA for help. This self-medication can take on many forms, including illicit drugs or abuse of alcohol, and often can lead to a DUI. When you get a DUI on your record, this is a non-starter for the immigration for USCIS. However, for a veteran, this is there often can be a causal connection, a connection that can be drawn from their service in the military. And so, but finding that connection and helping them become a United States citizen before deportation occurs is very important. Additionally, why are veterans deported? This can happen because of visa problems, either because their visa expired or they enlisted on a student visa. And like I stated in the last slide, that if you enlist on a student visa, it's an improper use of the visa that will lead to your voluntary removal or deportation. All right, now I get to tell you a little bit about my program, VNAP. So here at VNAP, the Veterans Naturalization Assistance Program, we have three main goals. The first is to help non-citizen veterans naturalize. We do this through direct representation. The second is to discover why many active service members are not applying for their US citizenship, why that number we talked about before went from 1,500 to only 10 applications. The third is to discover why veterans are denied citizenship at a higher rate than civilians. My fellowship project is as follows. We serve non-citizen veterans in the naturalization process. We assist with evidence gathering, application completion, interview preparation, and we also conduct educational training such as this one today. So a little bit about how our process works. A veteran will call or email VNAP. Then VNAP completes an initial intake document with the veteran. The veteran is given an intake questionnaire to complete, and the veteran is assigned to a volunteer. Our volunteers assist the veteran in completing the necessary applications, and the volunteer will assist the veteran in compiling materials necessary to file. The volunteer then helps veterans file their mail-in application. VNAP tracks the veteran application throughout the application process, and we also make sure that veterans are aware of their biometric appointments and are prepared for their interview when the time comes. Some of the questions that we answer in our first meeting. Are parents or grandparents US citizens? This is an important question to find out because sometimes veterans are already United States citizens and we just were not, I'm sorry, not us, but they were not aware that they had automatic citizenship because of their parents or their grandparents. So if we can help them through that process, then we're happy to do that. When did the veteran serve? This determines whether or not they served during a period of hostility or a period of peacetime, and it impacts the law that we apply under and the requirements that they need to meet. Is the veteran a lawful permanent resident? Now, this is only required if you serve during a period of peacetime, but it's a little bit easier if you have it just for your application process, even for a period of hostility. Has the veteran lived for 3 months in the same state where they'll be filing the N-400? This is a requirement for a period of peacetime. What is the veteran's discharge status? We need to make sure it's honorable or general under honorable. One of the most recent notices that was given out by USCIS said that if one time of service was honorable or general under honorable, that they would consider that for the application meeting this requirement. We haven't seen a case yet where that's successfully been implemented yet, but it is a really good sign that there's options available for someone who maybe only has one honorable discharge to their name. Can the veteran establish good moral character for the last 5 years? That is necessary if you serve during a period of peacetime. So when we're working with the client, we put together the following materials: cover letter, N-400, that's the naturalization application, their green card, N-400 riders. Those are explanations of why things were answered differently than maybe the government was expecting. The N-426, that's the certification of military service. The DD-214 or NGB-22, those are the discharge papers. Any supporting evidence to help the application, and this can include letters from relatives, this can include their VA disability rating, just anything that maybe can help build that narrative of why they have this thing on their criminal record that should be overlooked. And then finally, G1145, that's a really useful tool to help get updates on the case. It allows the government to text our clients so that they get much faster responses. So all of this together comes to about 50 to 75 pages of materials that we're helping them build. The needed evidence. I wanted to just highlight some needed evidence for you because I think it's useful to understand what's necessary to build this application. So you need to have a green card unless you serve during a period of hostility. You need to have a DD-214 or NGB-22. You need marriage documents for each marriage. You need documents for every criminal charge and conviction, every speeding ticket ever received. You need the parents' immigration information, the children's immigration information, and birth certificates, details of the current spouse's previous marriages and those immigration details, and you need proof of tax payments for the last 5 years. This is a lot. This is so much to get together. And so it's one of the things that we work the hardest on here at VNAP is helping our clients meet these requirements and find all the evidence that's necessary. Before we go into how a veteran applies, I'm going to just answer a couple questions that I see are coming in the chat. So give me 1 second here while I open it. Oh, okay. We had a specific case question from an anonymous attendee. So for that, I'm not comfortable answering your question over this presentation. So I'm going to give you my email at the end. Please feel free to send me an email and I'm happy to connect with you offline. Is this webinar due to new additions to current INA program? Somewhat, some new interpretations to that. I need some help to so Caesar, again, I'm happy to connect with you after this on resources for your wife's case. And then anonymous attendee asked a specific case question about adoption, and the answer to that is that it depends because the laws are different about citizenship based on your parents, based on when you were born. So I'll give you my email at the end. Please feel free to connect with me after this, and I'm happy to support. Okay, let me just open up the other chat to make sure that I'm not missing anyone. Okay. And Gregory, I see your question there. I'm happy to connect with you afterwards as well about your wife. Is this program exclusively for people who live in California? No, thank you. That's a very great question. This is not exclusively for people who live in California. It's a national program. I'm happy to help wherever you are located. I happen to be barred in the great state of California because I'm from California, but it's not specific to California, no. So what is the percentage of applications denied to other than honorable discharges? We don't know because you can't get past the initial screening. It's not possible to apply if you have an other than honorable discharge. You would have to apply as a civilian. So there isn't a denial for that specifically. And then Jesus, I'm happy to talk with you about your wife. Please, I'll give you my email and we can connect after this. I think Ricky, yep, thank you, Ricky, for putting my email there in the chat. And then Yadira, your green card, yes, you definitely can apply while your green card is being extended. That's not a problem because if you serve during a period of hostility. And if you have a valid green card now, it's fine to apply as well during a period of peacetime, but I'll get into that in just a second. Okay, so final question, then I'm going to go back to how to apply. Does the 5 years count for deported veterans that served during combat? I believe you're asking about good moral character, and the good moral character 5 years is for someone who served during a period of peacetime. The good moral character for someone who served during a period of hostility is only for a single year, 1 year before submission. So let's get back to it. How a veteran applies. So the veteran naturalization requirements, they must meet English proficiency unless they have an age or residency exception. They have to take a civics test, again, unless there's an age or residency exception. They need to demonstrate good moral character. This is for a period of 5 years, as I just stated, or only 1 year of good moral character if you serve during a period of hostility. And then you need to take an oath to support the US Constitution. There are 10 steps to the naturalization process according to the US government. The first step is determine if you're already a US citizen, as I mentioned, whether or not your parents are US citizens or your grandparents. And then the final step is understanding your citizenship and the rights afforded to you. Our work really, the main part of what we do comes from this preparing the N400 and submitting the N400. Between these two steps, it requires so much evidence gathering. And so that's really the meat of what we're doing. The biometrics appointment, it's a really quick in and out appointment. We just help veterans remember what it is. And then we, of course, can help support the veterans prepare for their interview, as well as attend the interview either over phone or in person, depending on the COVID rules at the time. But this steps 3 and 4, this can take us a while to get all the materials ready. As an example, if you're missing your DD-214, your discharge papers, the office that was managing those closed indefinitely due to COVID. Now it seems like they're opening up again, but for the last couple of years, it's been nearly impossible to find your DD-214. We have come up with some creative solutions to that, but that alone can really slow down this process. So to apply, you need to have served during a period of peacetime or period of hostility. You must have an honorable or a general under honorable discharge, and you need to have served in active duty, National Guards, or selected reserve of the Ready Reserve. There are 2 applicable laws. The first is INA 328, so the Immigration and Naturalization Act. This applies to someone who served during a period of peacetime, and it requires 1 year of honorable service. Then we have INA 329. This is if you serve during a period of hostility. It requires 1 single day of honorable service. And something I just want to flag for you is that the dates do not exactly match the dates used at the VA. So if you look at these period of hostility dates, what you're going to see is that they are roughly adjacent to our major wars and conflicts. So World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War, and then 9/11. What the difference is between USCIS and the VA is that the VA recognizes August 2, 1990 until present as a continuous period of peacetime. The USCIS recognizes August 2, 1990 to April 11, 1981 as a period of hostility. Then this gap here is a period of peacetime, and then a period of hostility again from September 11, 2001 until present. The reason that this is challenging is that for a deported veteran who served during a period of peacetime, it is extremely challenging to find a path back to the United States. It often requires a pardon or clemency for whatever criminal record may have led to your deportation. When you have a period of hostility, though, you don't have a physical presence requirement or a residency requirement. You don't have to meet it. That is how veterans are able to apply for their citizenship after being deported and find their pathway home. It's through this period of hostility. It's really challenging that this Gulf War period in between here is recognized as a period of peacetime, because our Gulf War veterans are that have been deported are having the most challenging time returning. So I'm not going to go through all of these with you, but there's some red flags to be aware of when you're applying for citizenship or when you're looking to start your application. So the discharge status, do you have an honorable or general under honorable discharge? The travel, have you traveled outside the US for more than 6 months? This does not apply if you apply it during a period of hostility, so it's not a red flag for you then. Deportation, have you ever been deported? Often this question is getting more to the meat of why were you deported? What was the thing that caused your deportation? Was it a documentation issue, or did you commit an aggravated felony? Taxes are something that the government seems to be caring quite a bit about right now. We've hit a lot of roadblocks on taxes with our clients. This requirement is that you declare you have paid your last 5 years of taxes and that you're caught up in all of your payments. If you are not caught up, you simply have to prove that you're on a payment plan or you're taking steps to meet your requirement. If you are currently not on a payment plan or taking steps to meet your requirement, it's very challenging to get your naturalization application approved. Same with child support. It's okay if you've missed a payment. It's okay if you got behind, but showing that you're taking steps to make it up. That's what matters. Then probation or parole. Have you ever been on probation or parole? They just want to make sure that you've completed it. Contradictory information. This is a very big deal. We have found some of our clients to have multiple social security numbers, and that obviously is not allowed. That's clearly not okay. And so you need to make sure that all the information you have is succinct. If there's what lawyers call Scribner's error. So let's say your birthday is the 10th and someone accidentally typed in the 11th. That can be explained. It's more if you have specifically different social security numbers, multiple alien numbers, things like that. Domestic violence, USCIS does not have patience for domestic violence. They do not like it. It's very challenging to get your case approved if you have it. This is something that the VA can recognize as a symptom of PTSD, and it can be recognized as a trickle-down effect of your mental health. USCIS does not recognize it in that way, and that's a messier application to try and get through. And then finally, voting. You can only vote if you're a US citizen, so if you have voted, then it means you've likely claimed to be a US citizen, and that's not allowed. Okay, so what are benefits of applying as a veteran? First, there's some benefits for all veterans. It is free. Please help me spread the word on this. This application is free. It usually is about $800, but this is waived for veterans. The application is fast-tracked. Our clients are seeing usually about a 6-month to 10-month turnaround on their applications, which is fantastic because otherwise it can take somewhere between 12 to 17 months for your application to be approved. Some of our clients, we've gotten them approved in 3 months even, or 3.5 months. So it really does fast track the application. It's really nice to see that that is working. Applying is easier with the DD-214 as well. This is twofold. Number one, if you're an active service member and you need the 06 to sign off in your application, that can be challenging to get. But when you have a DD-214, you don't need that 06 signature. Number two, the reason it's easier to apply with DD-214 comes from this concept that you're trying to prove good moral character. You're trying to prove that you're a good person. And here you have a certified document from another government entity saying, not only was I a good person, but I heroically served this country. And here are all the ways that I have, trained for this country, that I have served, that I've given back. This document is certified and it is telling you that I'm a good person. So it only helps your application. So what are benefits then if you serve during a period of hostility? These are the extra benefits you get if you serve during that time. First, you can be any age. There's an 18-year minimum requirement for other applicants, but that is not required for this. You only need to prove 1 year of good moral character, as discussed. You do not need to prove continuous residence in the United States, and you do not need to prove physical presence in the United States. These are huge. These are huge, huge benefits to our clients. Everyone else has to prove that they have continuously resided and been physically present in the United States for the last 2.5 out of 5 years. If you serve during a period of hostility, you don't have to prove this. It is not held against you. If you serve during a period of peacetime and you can't meet that requirement, likely what we're going to have you do is just wait until you can. Wait till you've been present in the United States to outweigh that amount of time you've been outside the United States. But for a period of hostility, this is a really great benefit. So I want to take a moment now to go through this naturalization application with you, because I think there's some things that are interesting that jump out for military applications. The first thing I want to show you is that on the very first page, it says information about your eligibility. And there's all these different ways that you can apply to become a US citizen, including you've been a lawful permanent resident for 5 years. You've been a lawful permanent resident for 3 years and married to a US citizen spouse for the last 3 years. You're a lawful permanent resident of the United States and you are the spouse of a US citizen, and your US citizen spouse is regularly engaged in specific employment abroad. So this has more to do with if you're married to a US member of the military. But for our purposes, veterans will always apply because they're applying on the basis of qualifying military service. The best benefits you get in this application process come from a veteran application. It is far and away better to apply as a veteran, even if you are married to a US citizen. The application, the fee is waived. All those other things we just talked about, not having to meet the requirements, you only get that if you click this box here to say that you're applying on the basis of qualifying military service. So that's the first thing I wanted to show to you. Then I wanted to jump ahead to this part 12. So the application itself is 20 pages long with about 18 sections to it. Part 12 is what I have nicknamed the Are You a Good Person section, because they ask all sorts of interesting questions trying to get to the basis of whether or not you meet the good moral character requirement. So some of these questions are extremely vague, some of them are outdated, some of them are just unnecessary, and some of them trigger a veteran application because they ask specific questions that you have to answer yes to, even though it's obvious you want to answer no, and you probably should answer no, the answer has to be yes. So I'm just going to run through a few of these with you here, but as you can see, these first ones are straightforward. Have you ever claimed to be a US citizen? Have you ever registered to vote, or have you ever voted? And then do you have a hereditary title, or have you been declared legally incompetent? These are relatively straightforward. Then we jump ahead to numbers 14 through 18. So the first thing that you'll notice is that number 14 asks, were you ever involved in any way with any of the following? Genocide, torture, killing or trying to kill someone, badly hurting or trying to hurt a person on purpose, forcing or trying to force someone to have any kind of sexual contact or relations, not letting someone practice his or her religion. Number 15, were you ever a member of, or did you ever serve in, help, or otherwise participate in any of the following groups? A, military unit. Okay, pause. Yes, you have to say yes, you were in a military unit here. When you're in a military unit, it doesn't ask if you were in the US military, it just asks if you were in a military unit. So this is a very common spot where people want to say no, because as you can just see, the questions are about genocide and torture and badly hurting someone, and these aren't about your service, your heroic service in the military. So this is the first one that you have to say yes to. Then going down further, were you ever a part of any group, or did you ever help any group, unit, or organization that used a weapon against any person or threatened to do so? Yes, the US military has used weapons against another person, and they have threatened to do so before. That means you have to say yes here as well. This number 18, sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't, but did you ever sell, give, or provide weapons to any person, or help another person sell, give, or provide weapons to any person? So this question here, it's obviously trying to say, were you a weapons dealer? But for some of our clients, it says that they worked in the munitions depot on their DD 214. So their answer is yes. They can't lie on this. They did give and provide weapons to other individuals. So what do you do when you have these questions? Do you have to say yes when it's so obvious that they're looking for the answer to be no? Well, we draft what is called these riders. So because they ride on the application to explain what's going on. As you can see, you put the client's alien number here, their last name, first name, middle name, and then the following is what we say. I participated in a military unit as a member of the United States Army, Navy, Marines. I served in the Army, Navy, Marines from enlistment date to discharge date. I was discharged with an honorable discharge. Please see the attached DD 214 and Form N426 for further details of the service. This rider makes it so you can get past those questions you had to say yes to. Moving on, there's another question. Did you ever receive any type of military, paramilitary, or weapons training? Again, yes, of course you received weapons training, and of course you received military training. You would write a rider very similar to the one that I just showed you. Okay. And then this question, these sections here have to do with your criminal history. If there's anything, if you've ever committed a crime or been arrested, charged with committing a crime, been convicted, and you can fill in the blanks here with what happened. Then moving ahead even further, they ask all these questions about, have you been a habitual drunkard, a prostitute? Have you smuggled controlled substances, been married to more than one person at the same time? On and on until number 37. Have you ever served in the US Armed Forces? Well, okay, that's 2 pages later. They should have started with that. Obviously, you did serve in the US Armed Forces. That's why you selected yes on the first page. So this section here is where they ask about your time in the military. Are you currently a member of the US Armed Forces? Have you ever been court-martialed, administratively separated, disciplined, or have you received an other than honorable discharge while serving in the US Armed Forces? Have you ever been discharged from training or service in the U.S. Armed Forces because you were an alien? Have you ever left the United States to avoid being drafted in the U.S. Armed Forces? Have you ever applied for any kind of exemption from military service in the U.S. Armed Forces? And have you ever deserted from the U.S. Armed Forces? So these are all the questions that they ask about your service. Often we'll get a veteran that has to say yes, that they were disciplined in some capacity. We have a number of clients through the Navy, quite a number of them have captain's mast. And so we just explain what happened and why they were disciplined. And then finally in this Are You a Good Person section, we get to number 44. Are you a male who lived in the United States anytime between your 18th and 26th birthdays? All right, well, you know where they're going with this. They want to know if you registered for the draft. Most of our clients have not registered for the draft because they joined the military right away. Everyone who lives in the United States, whether documented or undocumented, whether joining the military or not, every male who is here has to register for the draft if they're here between their 18th and 26th birthdays. This registration, there is a defense that can be used. It's not usually accepted, but for this they made a special exception where you can say, I was not aware of my obligation to register for the draft. If I had been aware, I would have done so. And that's the only language that you have to explain in your rider to say why you didn't register. I like to take it a step further and remind them that these veterans joined the military. And so I was not aware of my obligation. If I had, I would have registered. And then I add, I instead joined the United States Navy, Marines, Army, Air Force at the age of 18 or 21 or 25 to explain that they aren't running from this service. In fact, they ran to it, even though they didn't register. That surely cannot be held against them. We haven't ever run into a problem with this question as long as that language, like I stated, is included in the explanation. So finally, I want to just share some benefits of citizenship with you. When you become a United States citizen, you no longer need to renew your green card or carry proof of status. This is really such a gift because the green card costs about $1,200 to get it renewed, and carrying proof of status all the time is it's stressful. What if you run to the grocery store and you forgot your purse at home and you left your green card in your purse? If you get pulled over, then you're running a risk of being held, even though you just needed to go to the grocery store for a few minutes. You also have a reduced risk of removal or deportation. The only reason we say reduced is simply because if you are found to have lied on your application, then you can face deportation for that. You have the ability to petition more family members to immigration. Only US citizens are able to petition parents, siblings, or married children. You have the ability to pass US citizenship to your unmarried children under 18 who automatically become US citizens when you become a citizen. You have the ability to vote and run for public office, the ability to obtain government jobs, grants, and other benefits, and the ability to obtain a US passport. You also have the freedom to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So before I turn it back over to questions, there's a few things that I need your help with. Number one, get the word out, please. Help veterans know their rights. Help veterans know where to turn for help. Please feel free to share our contact information and to spread the word about upcoming virtual naturalization clinic. We are just about to start our intakes for this clinic and set our appointments. So we still have appointments available. If this is something that you or a friend of yours is interested in, please let them know. Our next virtual clinic is coming up on June 17. So now I'm going to turn it back over to you and answer any of your questions, but I just wanted to share that this is my email address here, nikel.godfrey@vetsprobono.org, and my phone number is 202-733-3337. Thank you so much, and let's see what some of your questions are. Let me just stop sharing for one moment here. Okay, I'm going to start with the Q&A first. Are there expedited options for spouses or fiancés of US citizens, veterans discharged honorably? So I will give a general answer to this because I've seen this come up a lot. There are not many organizations that help the spouses of veterans. The only one that I am aware of is called the American Immigration Lawyers Association, and they have a military assistance program. They're the only ones that I know that help spouses, and I'm happy to share that information with any and all of you who contact me. I'll also make sure to put it in the chat before I hang up this call. But that I just wanted to get ahead of that because I know that's a question that we've received a few times. What are the periods of hostility? So the periods of hostility are loosely based with they're loosely based on our major conflicts. And so if there's a specific one, I'm happy to let you know what that is, but let me just read the dates for you. September 1, 1939 to December 31, 1946, June 25, 1950 to July 1, 1955, February 28, 1961 to October 15, 1978, August 2, 1990 to April 11, 1991, and September 11, 2001 until present. And then I see a second follow-up question from you that you have a TBI issue and need help with getting paperwork going. I strongly recommend you reach out to your local veteran service officer to help with your VA claim on that. Let's see. So again, David, same answers before. I strongly recommend the American Immigration Lawyers Association Military Assistance Program. Are overdue debts and charge-offs factors that contribute to denials? So no, you can file for bankruptcy and become a US citizen. That's fine. If it has more to do with taxes, they really want to make sure that you are taking steps to pay your taxes. So that's the financial implication they're looking for. Is it free for veteran spouses? No, but you can apply for a fee waiver based on their status and your income level. So my job was a sonar operator in a submarine, and I've only handled weapons on watch and calls. Do I say yes to 17A? So I'm hesitant to give you legal advice on a specific question. I'm happy to take a look at it and help you understand better. You have to answer each yes no question based on your own life. So if you don't feel that you answer yes to 17A because that doesn't apply, then don't answer yes to 17A, and that's okay. But anonymous attendee, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help you with your application. How often do you have appointments? So we do appointments about once every 3 months that we help people get an appointment for a clinic. It's very useful for us because to get just through the application itself takes 3 hours from start to finish. And so if we can put you all in a clinic, that helps us move a lot more applications through. And then if we're in between clinics, we either are overbooked and we can't take anyone else on, or we will take you on and we'll work with you directly and help you prepare your application depending on your specific case. But really, we aim for the clinics, which happen about once every 3 months. Is the fee waived for veteran spouse kids? Same answer, no. You can apply for a fee waiver though. So Todd Caldwell, let's see. So Todd Caldwell, same thing. The American Immigration Lawyers Association Military Assistance Program, they're the ones to go to for family members. They are definitely the best. And I have an honorable discharge from the United States Army. Darnie, Severin, definitely send me a message and I'm happy to talk with you more about your specific case. It all depends on when you were born. So shoot me an email and we can set up a time to chat. All right, so let's look at the chat here. Give me 1 second while I get through it. Sorry, you guys had great questions, so I just want to make sure I'm not skipping anything, and I'm scrolling back up. Give me 1 second here. Okay, what are the periods of hostility? Answer that one. What is the most common criminal reason for denial, i.e. a DUI versus domestic violence, assault, etc.? Are veteran treatment courts able to help alleviate this barrier towards citizenship? I've heard really good things about veteran treatment courts and helping with the application. It's not necessarily about, there are some things like aggravated felonies that are extremely challenging to get past for your application. The problem then comes from how recently something and how frequently something appears on your record. So I can't say for certain what is the most common reason for denial, but usually it's meeting that good moral character requirement. Even though as we've stated, you either have to meet 1 year or 5 years, depending on your periods of service, you still they still look at your life as a whole. So if you have something on there that has been expunged or has been taken care of because of Veterans Treatment Court, you still have to declare it, and you have to explain what happened and how you and what the conclusion was of that case. So yes, I do think the veteran treatment courts can help. I personally am hesitant to apply if it's within that 1 year or 5 year good moral character requirement, just simply because it seems challenging to meet that requirement, considering that you still have to declare what happened within that time frame. And then Kay, I believe I answered your question about the TBI. I strongly recommend reaching out to your veteran service officer who can help you with your claim with the VA. But if your question has to do with military naturalization, then you're certainly happy to assist the paperwork on your application for naturalization. You shoot me an email. They don't pay taxes. I also have so Renee, same thing. I'm hesitant to give you legal advice in this broad of a spectrum. Please go ahead and give me an email, but you raise a valid point that I want to highlight for everyone else here. So let's say you're 100% disabled and you haven't paid taxes in the last 10 years because your money isn't taxable. It comes from the VA. You're fine. You just explain that with a writer and say why you haven't been paying your taxes. They're more concerned about an overdue amount. But if you meet that honest exemption from your taxes, then you won't have a problem. Okay, I see an email there. Oh, okay, so if you registered for selective service, you can go to the selective service website and check your registration. You put in your social security number and your birth date and your name, and it will tell you what your service number is. It's a secure website. I know my mom told me to never put my social security number in onto any website, but it is a secure website that will let you look that up. Yeah, so same question there on selective service. Can you keep a certified copy of your green card on you and have your actual card in a safe? I would likely do the inverse of that. Keep the copy in your safe and keep your actual card on you, because yeah, I would probably do the inverse of that, but that's your choice there. Oh, okay. Curtis draws a great explanation for explaining why your service shows that your failure to register was not knowing and willful. An excellent explanation there. We still have to write out a writer, but as Curtis has highlighted, that's never held against you. Thank you, Juan, for putting the Social Security link there. Appreciate it. Hi, Diane. We will definitely send you the recording for this. Jesus wants my information. Ricky, do you mind just copy and pasting my email in there while I go through this again? Dan, I see your email address. I'll shoot you an email as well. Kate, I'm not 100% sure what you're looking for on that. Shoot me an email and I'm happy to help support you find a connection there. Or I know that Ricky has some resources of local organizations as well that can help with TBI issues. So shoot either one of us an email and we're definitely happy to help. You guys have great questions. I'm sorry, you're asking them faster than I can answer them. So bear with me, I'm still working through them all. Okay, yes. So this presentation, it's for just members of the military or veterans themselves. I'm happy to share the resource for family members though. And we can, I'm happy to connect you with resources for that. So I'm sorry about any advertisement confusion on there. Efrain, I hesitate to answer any or give you any specific legal advice in this context, but what you missed is if you served during a period of hostility, you are not required to meet the permanent residency requirement or the residency requirement to become a United States citizen. Yadir, I'm happy to share this presentation with you. If you don't mind shooting me an email just so that I have a record of it, because there's so many questions that I'm a little worried I'm going to miss your email address. If you have questions when filling out a spouse's N-400, I am happy to, again, give you a resource of someone that can support your application. Same for you, Cesar. The American Immigration Lawyers Association, they are the organization that helps with spouses. I strongly recommend your questions going to them. Okay, Gregory, you're funny. Yes, the best option for spouse naturalization is through AILA. The reason that I keep saying their name is because they're the only organization so far that I've been able to find that helps with spouse naturalization for veterans. And Diane, I see that you're on this call. If I'm wrong, please definitely jump in and tell me another organization that helps with veteran or spouse applications, but definitely they are the organization. I am going to take 1 second here and pull up their link so that I can give you all the form to fill out. 1 second here. Okay, so I don't want to lose my spot, so I'm gonna, well, I might just lose it. That's okay. This is AILA map. This is the form to fill out to get your question, if you have a spouse that needs support and you are a veteran. Okay, so my email address. James, I got your email and I will respond to it, I promise. The Black Deported Veterans Organization, I've been working with some organizations out of California to help find representation for the individuals you contacted me about. So I will definitely be in touch. I'm just waiting to hear back from them still. Okay, so question about a kidney being removed by the VA. Again, I would direct that to your local veteran service organization. Question about my email address. I think that, oh, thanks, Diane. Sorry about the CC on that. But the question on my email address, I think Ricky just put that in there not that long ago. You should have it soon. The paperwork I tried a few times, but I couldn't afford to pay for it. Giselle, if you need help with the paperwork for naturalization, please send an email to me. I will help you with it. That's what we do here. Okay, there are the email addresses again that Ricky has put on there. For a non-citizen spouse to follow when the process is in motion, we have a family with a child that needs his mother. Will she have to leave the US and exit the USA? Again, that's a specific case that I'm not comfortable answering in this form. Feel free to shoot me an email or fill out the form that I just put in the chat. And Ricky, thank you. He said he's going to send the recording and my contact information. Hi, David. Good to see you in here. Thanks for coming. Okay, I see more contact information. And Diane, thank you for that confirmation that yes, ALAMAP is the only organization that helps spouses of veterans. This is a huge need. If you are looking to help support veterans and you want to get something started, there is a very big need for someone to help support the spouses, the non-citizen spouses of veterans. I've been saying this for some time, and very clearly it needs to happen. Unfortunately, right now, the best I can do is recommend this organization, but I'm very happy to represent or recommend this organization to you. Not my forms. I had very informative and I already received confirmation with them receiving my documents. Okay. Milton, I'm sorry to hear that you weren't able to find legal representation, but it sounds like you submitted your forms already. Yeah, Diane is correct that unfortunately resources are limited to represent veterans. Worse when they are deported, and little to no assistance for family members or veterans. Indeed, in crime of domestic violence, yes or no? What type of BIA ruled of your crime is not a crime of violence for immigration purposes? Okay. And hello, you ask a good question. So when it comes to criminal records, the problems for application come from what is considered an aggravated felony. During the last administration, aggravated felony was redefined to include misdemeanors as well. So it's not just a crime of violence anymore. It's specific crimes that it would have to be. You would have to look up what each one was, dependent on what your criminal history is, how recently it happened, and whether you're applying under INA 328 or INA 329. And then we're certainly happy to help answer that question for you. But if there's a specific crime or domestic violence related crime that you're asking about, likely it would need to specifically be looked up to make sure that we're answering your question properly. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the Q&A now. Oh, James, I see your question again, and I promise you I will send you an email. I'm sorry, in prep for it today, I wasn't able to respond yet. So one says that you cannot be on probation when you apply, unpaid taxes, or have any convictions during the 5 years preceding when you applied. You cannot be on probation when you apply. You can have unpaid taxes, but you have to show that you're taking steps to pay your taxes. And you can have convictions during the last 5 years if you're applying under INA 329. Do you help veterans with child application under INA 329? In general, a person born outside the United States may acquire citizenship at birth if all following requirements met at the time of person's birth. So child of U.S. citizen parents, U.S. citizen parent means so veterans with child applications, specifically for child applications, if the child became a U.S. veteran, we're happy to help. If not, I strongly recommend your application go through ALAMAP because they have the resources to connect you with someone that can help with that. Got one guy that the VA removed one of his kidneys. Okay, same kidney question. I just looked at the ALO and they say one of the requirements for which is a recent veteran separated within 2 years. You are correct. Sometimes if your case still doesn't meet the requirements, they're able to do what they can to find you a resource, but they are the only organization that is able to help with spouses or children. I will tell you the difference between me and Ayla is that for purposes of veteran applications, we don't have a time restraint on when we're able to support veteran applications. It doesn't matter if you became a veteran within the last 2 years or the last 30 years, we're able to help you directly. But because we expanded to help so many veterans in our program, we cannot help spouses and children as well. I had a call come in and I don't know how to get to the chat where I had an answer. You can just open the chat function and scroll back up. And can you give me your WhatsApp phone number so I can communicate with you instead of email? Darnie, I'm very sorry. I don't have WhatsApp, which is probably a mistake on my part, but unfortunately, you're going to have to communicate with me via email, and then I'm happy to send you a Zoom link to chat anytime. Okay, so going back to the chat. James, you are correct. There were misdemeanors under the Clinton, Bush, and Obama administration. I apologize for not being more specific. It was much more specifically redefined to include specific misdemeanors under the last administration. Previously, misdemeanors could fall into that category, but now that's what I meant to say, and I apologize for confusion. Semper Fi to you too, Gregory. Okay. Living in the US veteran during a conflict era. One, again, if you have a specific question about your case, please contact me offline. I don't want to answer anything specific about your case over this presentation. Parole to access and naturalization ceremony from flight destination country, meaning most of us are not close to Mexico. Yes, it is possible to get humanitarian parole. I'm happy to connect you with an organization that can support your case. So shoot me an email and I'm happy to help. Please use me as a resource. I'm happy to, if we are not able to help you at the Veterans Naturalization Assistance Program, we certainly are not going to turn you away without any support. We are going to find you a resource. Please bear in mind that there are not many of us in this field. It might take us a little time to get all of your questions, but we are certainly interested and willing and capable of helping you with your cases. Yes, there is humanitarian parole from Africa. Again, case by case basis though, but yes, there is. Okay, any final questions before I turn it back over to Ricky? Or Ricky, is there anything that you'd like me to share before we close up today?
Nikhil, I think we're good. We appreciate your time and your presentation, and we will send a copy of the recording to all the registrants and along with our contact information and Nikhil's contact information. So if you guys have any questions, any follow-up questions, please feel free to email us or email Nikhil directly, and we'll be happy to address your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And yes, I'm happy to put my email address in one more time.
Let's see.
And I'll stay on the line for a few more minutes, and then if any more questions come in, I'm happy to answer them. I see that we have some raised hands. I forgot that that was an option. 1 second here. Okay, let's start with you, Jean. Jean, you can unmute yourself and okay, well,
yeah, I'm sorry. Hello?
Oh, I can hear you.
I'm sorry. I'm driving at the same time, so I'm trying to pay attention to the road. And I was just listening in, and my question was, I remember at a point when I was incarcerated, they said that due to your military service, you could apply for naturalization. How does that work actually?
Yeah, so you can apply based on your military service if you have an honorable or general under honorable discharge. And if that's something that applies to you, then shoot me an email and I'll help you get started with it.
Okay. It still matters that you have a criminal record, does it not?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. Did you say it matters that you have a clean record?
A criminal record. So,
Oh, a criminal record. It depends on the criminal record. So definitely shoot me a message. Let's talk about what happened, and we'll talk about how we can get your application started.
thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, James, I'm gonna bring you up here. All
Okay,
right.
I just actually I was just because you were talking about the families and saying that would be a good thing for people to get into. We've actually started a I put it in the chat. We crafted an outline proposal for handling the transition process from the notification to for the ability to return to the U.S. to 1 year after reentry, and that also covers spouses and children. It's called Bring Them Back and Build Them Up. It's based off of being able to, for 1 year, supplement the income so they're at a living wage, but also be able to give them time to re-identify themselves back with their families, back into their communities, getting the mental health support that they need, and resources that they need. But and so the community project funding thing that was going on with Mr. Takano's office that ended last Friday, we're trying to prepare for next year do that. So anyone that's looking to get into that, we're welcome to try and link up and partner with.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing, James. All right, I'm gonna bring Darnay. Am I saying your name right? Darnay? Darnay? Darnay, are you, it sounds like you're on mute. I'm going to see a little bit about some of these questions while we wait to see if you come online. Residence in June. So again, the spouse question, I strongly recommend the American Immigration Lawyers Association Military Assistance Program. They are the best resource. If your wife is a U.S. veteran, I'm happy to take that question directly, but otherwise, ALAMAP is the place to be. Veterans in need of care, you can apply at the va.gov/health-care/ #get VA healthcare. Curtis, I'm going to leave your comment unanswered so it's easier for people to find. And then Darnay, I see your question here. Oh, are you unmuted? Can you hear me? Okay, so I can't hear you right now, but I see your question says, are there going to be any changes to legislation or immigration policy concerning aggravated felonies, anything over 1 year in conservation? And if so, how old are effect? And will there be anywhere for veteran qualified for naturalization to the service? So for your question in particular, it would depend on your criminal history. It depends on your sentence and how long your sentence was there for. Happy to discuss what that looks like. So shoot me an email and I'm very happy to answer your question and help you. And then any lawyers that help deported veterans with VA claims or denials. So I know the VA right now is trying to help deported veterans that are looking for support. One of their most recent initiatives was to take the COVID vaccine across the border to Tijuana to help people become vaccinated. But specifically veterans that help with VA claims or denials, I am not aware of a specific organization that does it for deported veterans, but if you have access to the internet, there's no reason why a VSO, a veteran service officer from around the country, can't assist in the VA claim, or a member of Congress or something like that. VSOs are accredited or are usually are supposed to be accredited by the VA to assist with claims. So that should be, they're still referring us to veteran organizations need attorneys. Diane, is that the VSOs that are referring you to the veteran organizations? Okay, I'll give her a minute on that one. But VA is referring us to VSO. The VSO is very useful. I strongly encourage a VSO. A really great VSO is they can make all things happen. And it doesn't matter where you're located, you can get in contact with the VSO and they can help you with your case. VSOs, like all organizations, are overworked, but they're trained to help with VA claims, and they're a great organization. If you're appealing a board decision and you need help at the VA Court of Appeals, my organization, the Veterans Consortium, is absolutely happy to support. They will help represent veterans going before the Court of Appeals and help build your case. So definitely reach out if that's where you're at. Let's see. Needs an online job. Other benefits. So I think that those are all the immigration questions that I have. I'm just checking again. It looks like that's all the immigration. So I'm gonna end it there. If you have any specific questions though, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'm very happy to talk with you offline. We are getting ready to do intakes for our next clinic. So if that's something you're interested in, shoot me a message and I'm happy to set up a time to talk to see if the clinic is the right fit for you. And David, you've asked about the VA reach in Africa not being available. What's the way forward? I am happy to find an answer to you in that question. My understanding is that if you already have a disability rating, then you can work with the VA to get your treatment elsewhere. But if you don't have a disability rating, I don't know the answer to your question. I'm not sure what the option is on that one. Okay, looks like we have a couple more. Questions. So let me just take this really quick. James Smith.
No, I was just saying, I put in there, they were asking about somebody that works with vets for their benefit, deported vets. I put in calvet.ca.gov, Dr. Rudy Melson. He does that. He got a lot of the guys in TJ their benefits and stuff. He actually was even in W. Kamau Bell's United Shades of America for Veterans Day last year, talking about doing that. So that's one person you can reach out to.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. And Jean. Jean, do you have a question? All right. Oh.
No, I'm sorry. It's just saying that I have my hand still raised. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. No problem. All right. So I am going to call it there. If you have any additional questions though, please feel free to shoot me an email. I want to be a resource for you. I am one person, but I will do the best that I can to help you find support. So send me an email and I'm happy to chat with you. And Ricky, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nicole. We'll just close it off here. We appreciate everybody attending. And as I mentioned earlier, we are going to send out a recording. We did post our contact information. We will send that in writing to everybody who registered. And please feel free to contact us if you have any questions or if you need any assistance on the veteran side also. Thank you so much, and we'll end it here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.